Hey, Dr. E. This is Sarah from Franklin, Tennessee, and I am wanting to get a tattoo. And I know that Leviticus mentions do not mark your body, but I am curious if it carries into the New Testament after Jesus fulfilled the law. Thanks so much.
Well, let's start this way. It's fascinating watching the popularity of tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
In the past decade or two.
It's pretty Christian, actually.
Yeah, it's almost synonymous, yeah. Of course, if you live in the Nashville area, as we do, the music and arts profession, you're an anomaly.
Well, you can't be a worship leader if you don't have, a sleeve, so.
That's another reason I'm not a worship leader. Leviticus 19 is a compilation, kind of like a laundry list. We talk about the law. People think about the Ten Commandments, the Decalogue. The law is 300 some codified rules, regulations, and precepts. Leviticus 19:28. You shall not make any cuts in your body for the dead, nor make any tattoo marks on yourself. I am the Lord. Now, context. The Jews were a separate people. They were to separate themselves unto the Lord. Mm-hmm. They were not to do what the peoples around them did.
Okay.
So to love God was to obey God. We didn't always like the laws, but the Decalogue, the laws of the Old Testament were not burdensome to man in the sense that they were impossible. We loved the law. The burden was we were sinners, and the law convicted us, ergo it's a burden. So it's like a stop sign or a speed limit sign. That sign in and of itself isn't burdensome. It's an irritation to me because I don't want to stop,
right?
Or I don't want to go that slow. So the weight of the law reminds us. By the New Testament, the words and works of Jesus, the law's fulfilled. Now, this is a big debate right now nationally among some pretty big Christian voices about the Old Testament, what it means and doesn't mean. It's a bit of a free-for-all. But by Christ's perfect sacrifice, he fulfills the law, meaning he obeyed the law perfectly. Because we can't, he died in our place on our behalf instead of us. Fast forward, we have liberty. We often speak of the stronger and weaker brother paradigm that Paul discusses. Those who are stronger can eat meat sacrificed to idols, for example. Those who aren't equivocate, back to our earlier answer about if you have to think about it twice, you probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
So I think believers have liberty in this area. When they want to get scripture passages on their arm or a sleeve or on the back of their neck, people send me, can you give this to me in Greek or Hebrew because I'm going to get a tattoo?
Totally.
I don't know how many times I've done this for people. And first thing, I always wait a while just to irritate them, and they say, I really want to get a tattoo this weekend. And so I'll print it out. I'll put it in a PDF. I'll put it like in a PDF as well as a snippet. Because I know sometimes if it's a word thing,
it'll look different.
They'll get jacked, and it can be wrong.
And they're getting panda on their arm.
Yeah, exactly, or worse. So if you're going to choose Greek or Hebrew, be sure you get it double, triple checked before it's inked on your arm. When you guys were on our roof, when the four of you were young, I did say no tattoos till you were on your own. My point was, if you got older, you'll change your mind.
Right.
Because the tattoo you want at 16.
Totally.
Is not the tattoo you're going to want at 21.
Yeah.
And if we carry that algorithm out when you're 30, well, you like what you chose at 21. I'm talking very pragmatically.
Sure.
So that was more my point as a dad was, you're not doing this under my roof because I don't want to hear, later on. It was Jesse and I were in a store once, and this woman had this massive sleeve. She was probably 6 or 7. She was young. And she had this massive sleeve from her shoulder down to her top of her hand. And it was a checkout, and I just made the comment, wow, that's an amazing tattoo. That must have taken a long time to have that put on.
Sure.
And she went into a litany of expletive words
oh my goodness.
about how she wished she'd never done it. She was stupid when she'd done it. I forget how old she was, but she just went off, one of the worst decisions I ever made. And of course I'm internally going, yes, because Jesse was so fixated on wanting a tattoo. So that's the point of, the bottom line is no New Testament passage says you shouldn't have a tattoo.
Sure.
That Leviticus passage just caused me just enough pause to say, yeah, God was pretty adamant about that.
It's interesting.
And I'm not saying it's sinful. I think we have liberty. But my word of caution is wait 6 months and then wait another 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you still want it after a year, you got liberty. Now, I did not give you permission to do this. That's just to ask Dr. E off the top of the head.